Hey guys, it's Troy and welcome to another video. So today I want to discuss a post that I read on Reddit, and it's particularly unpleasant. And while I don't pretend that it is indicative necessarily of a wider trend, it certainly makes you question the somewhat more Disneyfied, Pollyanna-ish myths that we have about relationships and such like in society. So without further ado, here we go. This was posted in the relationship advice Reddit by an anonymous male poster. And he says, my girlfriend told me she needed some time away from the stress my cancer had caused her and is now attempting to make contact with me. And then he says, I'm a 31-year-old with an active lifestyle. I always participate in local charity events. I'm a fast runner. I climb. I go cycling. I have an associate in engineering technology degree. My family owns a private business that I used to contribute in for the past 5 years. I met my now ex-girlfriend 3 years ago. We were planning on getting engaged in 2021, and we were both excited for living together permanently and starting a family together. Okay, so he is living the dream. He has embarked on the traditional path with this girl that obviously he loves and he thinks highly of. Several months ago, I started having some health issues, started experiencing fatigue, increased lack of sleep, night sweats, and weight loss. I get tired very fast and was not able to participate in activities like I used to. I went to get myself checked and they found a cancerous tumor in one of my body's organs. It was a complete shock, panic set in. I thought to myself, this can't be happening to me. My family has been very supportive. They believed in me. I struggled with fear and anxiety. My condition had an impact on everything, especially my relationship with my girlfriend. She didn't take it well. She's always been the type that acts awkwardly when it comes to situations like this. I tried to meet up with her a couple of times, but she preferred to support, he puts it in inverted commas, me through the phone by texting me saying she's here for me. 1 week before I started my chemotherapy, she hadn't called nor texted. I decided to call and check up on her, but I got no reply. I thought maybe she's been under a ton of pressure herself. My mum and dad thought something was off because normally people don't act like that when their loved ones to go through medical issues. They show up and they show support. I did my best and defended her and made up excuses for her as long as I could. The next week, I was sitting in the hospital waiting room about to go through my first cycle of chemotherapy. Fear and anxiety on overdrive because I had been told that chemotherapy is tough, both physically and mentally. I got a call from my girlfriend trying to excuse the way she'd been behaving and basically just kind of hinting that she needed some time away from all this stress and that she already planned to keep a distance for the time being. I was shocked. I reread the whole thing over and over again, wondering, was she ending things between us by this? I couldn't handle it. I just broke down and cried. They thought I was just being stressed out. It was something else. I'm currently dealing with the chemo better. I will be able to go back to work in a few weeks. My girlfriend knew. She started contacting me on Facebook and was hurt because I didn't reply. Started to guilt trip me into talking to her and acting like she did nothing wrong. I know I wasn't an asshole for doing this, but I needed to hear an opinion. Okay, so look, I mean, that to me is pretty horrendous. I mean, I can't really, it's hard really to think of a worse way to treat somebody that you are in a relationship with, that you've been in a relationship with for 3 years. I mean, this is not an inconsiderable amount of time. This is a serious amount of time, and with whom you are planning to live together and to start a family, right? I mean, this is absolutely terrible. So basically, he falls ill with this very serious illness. He has to quite rapidly go to hospital and start the treatment. And at this point, his girlfriend and his future fiance and wife and mother of his children starts to ghost him. You know, she starts to kind of disappear. She pulls back and she will only be in contact with him via text. So it seems like she's not visiting him, she's not coming to comfort him, she's not coming to spend time with him, etc., etc. Now, his parents, obviously believe something is up, and of course it is, because as they rightly think, you know, if you're in a relationship with somebody, then that person should be there to support you through things like this, and she isn't. So the parents can obviously see the fact that she is not a particularly nice person, or at least not a particularly supportive partner in this situation. And he tries to make excuses for her. And of course, this is what we do, because there's a funny thing about relationships, which is that when you've been with somebody for a period of time, particularly when promises have been made and plans have been made and a future has been mapped out, and you really believe in that person, there's almost a sort of a sunk cost fallacy that can come into play, in the sense that you've gone so far down this route that you can't then countenance the idea that maybe the person that you're with wasn't the right person, or is actually flawed in some way that you didn't truly understand or perceive before. And so you go into something that's almost akin to denial, I suppose, whereby you will defend that person, even though what they've done, what they are doing, is clearly not right, and other people can notice that. Okay, and I think that's what this gentleman is doing here. You know, he was doing here. He was making excuses for this girl, even though I think pretty much anybody would look at that behavior and go, well, hang on a minute, this is off. You know, this is a bit off. I mean, like, and I get the point as well that, of course, it's going to be difficult. It's not an easy thing necessarily to deal with when somebody close to you falls ill with something very serious. Of course, that is going to be taxing for the other person. But I mean, listen, what are we all here for if it's not to be there for one another, right? What are we in a relationship for if it's not to be there for the other person when it really counts? And of course, what we're seeing in this instance, given his side of the story, is that she is very much a fair-weathered girlfriend. You know, things were absolutely fine, seems like, when everything was okay, when he was out doing the rock climbing and the running and the gym and everything else. And then as soon as things went bad for him, then she pulled back. And that is just not acceptable, right? Particularly not with somebody that you have plans for the future with, okay? I don't see how this can be recoverable myself. I mean, and I don't know that he is looking to recover it, but he does seem to be concerned about whether he is the one who's done something wrong in this situation, because he didn't reply to her immediately on Facebook. Well, to be honest, quite right, because this gentleman has just been through one of the most seismic things that can happen in anybody's life. And the person that he was most close to, outside of family, wasn't there for him. Well, what does she expect him to do? Throw a party? I mean, you know, it's like you have to take some responsibility for your actions. And if you're going to do something like this, then you can't then be blaming the other party for, you know, for being an arsehole or whatever. I mean, it's just not credible. And clearly, as some of the commentators have pointed out, you know, that her response to this is incredible. She's sort of almost transferring the blame a little bit. And it's just very, very depressing story. Very, very unpleasant, because we would hope, wouldn't we, that getting into a relationship, that, you know, at the very minimum, the person is going to be there if something bad happens to us. I mean, that's sort of, because when you think about it, a lot of guys, they get into LTRs or they get into marriages and things, and they're sort of like, yeah, but I just want someone to be there. You know, if things go bad, I want someone to be there to help me, to support me. And this guy's experienced exactly that, and she wasn't there for him. Now, I'm not saying this happens all the time. I'm not saying this is some universal kind of trait. And obviously, you know, dudes do this kind of thing as well. But I mean, Jesus, you know, you need to look for the signs, you know, and the signs might not be as overt as they are in this story, but you need to really vet. I mean, there's that word again, vet. I mean, vetting doesn't solve all your problems either, but vetting has to be a constant process. You know, guys think that you just vet at the beginning and then you're like, oh, right, yeah, I vetted her, she's amazing. Yeah, happy ever after. Well, I'm sure this guy probably felt that he had vetted his partner quite rigorously over those 3 years. I guess he thought he knew her pretty well. And look what happened, right? You know, he wound up with a girl who, when he was in hospital, didn't even come to visit him. So vetting just as a box ticking exercise at the beginning isn't enough. You know, you need to be consistently looking at the person and saying, well, who am I actually with here? You know, is this sort of person actually the person that I want to have in my life with me? You know, is this person actually doing what they're saying they're doing, operating in the way that they claim to be operating in my life, or are they just sort of LARPing, you know, role playing within my life? And you know, you need to be selective about the people that you allow to get close to you, because it's very, very sad, you know. And there's so many guys on Twitter and everything else who are, you know, traditionalists, and they bang on about, you know, just find the right person and get into that relationship and it's all going to be great. And you know, yeah, of course it can be, but we can't ignore the fact that things like this happen. And as I say, the difficulty is, I'm sure if you'd have asked that guy 6 months ago if he was with a woman who was supportive of him, he would have said yes. I'm almost certain of it, right? And then when things came to the crunch, it turned out that she wasn't who he thought he was. So I think there's a lesson there. Okay, I'm not saying that, you know, be suspicious of everybody and don't allow people into your life, but I think we have to accept that human beings are fallible, and human beings can sometimes let us down. And you know, sometimes guys will say, well, if you just took this path, then wouldn't you be happy? And then if you take this path, you'll be unhappy. And it's really not as simple as that. You know, it really, really isn't as simple as that, because there are no guarantees in life. And there are certainly no guarantees in life where other human beings are concerned, because people change over time and people are hit with different circumstances over time that you couldn't predict at the beginning. And as a result of that, you don't really know how they're going to behave. You know, you might think you know someone really well, but you kind of don't until the excrement hits the fan. They say in screenwriting that character is what people do under stress. Okay, so that's why in films and in dramas and movies and plays and things, there's always a lot of pressure put on the characters, because what makes character is actually the way that people operate when they are put into extreme sorts of situations of different kinds. So it's all very well just sitting there and saying, yeah, I'm a good person, I'm a supportive person, blah, blah, blah. But the proof of the pudding is in the action itself, you know, when the stress is applied. And in this situation, this woman didn't live up to what she had presumably purported earlier on in the relationship. So, yeah, just be careful out there, guys, you know, and just recognize that things are not black and white, that people are not necessarily always as they seem. And just, you know, just be vigilant about the people that you've got around you. And I mean, I feel for this guy. I hope that he makes a full recovery, and I don't think that he should have anything more to do with this woman, because she's already shown her true colors, and I don't see how you can come back from something like this, really. I think this is a complete betrayal of what, you know, any relationship should really be about. And I just think she behaved badly, and I don't really see an excuse for it. I mean, yeah, I get, you know, maybe she was stressed out, whatever, but I believe that if you're in it with somebody, you need to put those feelings to one side, and you need to actually be there and be supportive, and not just be on the end of a phone sending some messages, you know. Anyway, a slightly downbeat episode today, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Put the comments below. Please do subscribe to this channel. It really helps me to build up the audience, get more people on board, keep putting out the free content. Get on my free daily email list as well. And also, if you want to read my thoughts and experiences and advice on dating and the dating marketplace and all that stuff, grab Renegade Dating Blueprint. It's my collection of 11 books. There is a link below for it, so jump on board with that, and I will see you again very soon.